What's going on, guys? Romer the Romer here. I got a question from, let's check Instagram real quick, from the Kurdish Mamba. He just DM'd me. He says, "Hey, man, got another question. So I have a good amount of money saved up, and I was thinking about going across the whole United States, living in my car, buying books, and sending them to Amazon. This would cause me to leave my full-time job, but my full-time job is working in a cubicle and not as satisfying as finding a good book. In terms of going to 40 plus states, buying books and sending them to Amazon, do you think that would be a smart decision? What are some tips you recommend before fully committing to that type of aggressive book buying plan?" First of all, I would make sure that you get your inventory up. Make sure that your inventory is high enough to where you're seeing consistent payouts. So you don't want to go on the road with zero inventory. That's one of the biggest mistakes I made. It took me a while to actually see payouts. So yeah, I was making profit on the road, but I wasn't actually getting paid that much because I was always spending money on inventory, shipping books in, paying inbound shipping fees, and my inventory was very small. It was like 300 when I first went on my trip. For those of you that are new to my channel, I lived in my car for 3 months traveling around the United States. It was a Toyota Corolla, and I pimped it out. I took out the front seat. I made it livable on the inside. I insulated it. It was super dope. So he's asking me what would I do differently, and just tips in general, and should he even do it? And it's a grind. I'm not gonna lie. That's part of the reason why I did it. I knew it was gonna be such a grind. Especially, I don't know if you're a single guy or what, but just being alone for that long, you're gonna have stretches of time where you just don't talk to anyone that you know very well, and it's gonna be a luxury. If you're like me, I'm an ambivert, so like I'm not super extroverted or introverted. Like I get stressed out being around a ton of people, and then if I'm by myself too much, I want to go talk to people. So like I had to find a balance between that, and sometimes at Starbucks, I was just so happy to talk to like a random stranger. Anyway. That's like the real side of living in your car. Like you're kind of running away from a community if you had one. I wrestled in college, so I always had a community. And then even, just if you work, like I had a landscaping company, just like your normal job, you're going to have your community. And when you live on the road and you're reselling, say goodbye to that. That's part of the reason why I posted so much on social media. Anyway, I made a little template, and this is going to be available below in the description. It's a Google Docs, so all you guys can look at this. So looking back on it, what I would want to do differently, and my recommendation for anyone that's actually going to go do this crazy shit, is minimize expenses, number one. There's something called the 80-20 rule, and basically the 80-20 rule, it's forget the guy's name, it begins with a P, but this really smart dude realized that most of the time 20% of your actions cause 80% of the results. Okay, so we see this across a ton of different examples. Like they say 50% of marriages end. Well, what you don't take into consideration is out of 50% of marriages that end, 20% of people who get married are responsible for 80% of that statistic. And this statistic's everywhere. And Caleb Roth, one of my mentors, found out that this statistic's even relevant to selling books. There's crazy numbers. Like when it comes to cheap books, you're really not making that much money. You're putting in too much effort. And the time and effort that you put into finding those cheap books, even though it feels good to get that little ding. And what I'm talking about, if you guys don't know, is like when you're out scanning, books, you're going to hear like a ding when it's a good book. And if it's $1 profit and it's, a super low ranked book, meaning it's high demand, it's going to sell fast. It feels good. It feels good to be able to send that book in and it's going to sell. But the thing is, like he ran numbers and he found out that he ran numbers for like a really big seller, and I'm gonna fuck up exactly what he said, but it was something like out of 40% of the lowest price inventory for this huge seller, so like $10 and less books, only resulted in like 10% of the profit. So 40% of inventory, all books are rectangular objects that you have to label them. You have to send them to Amazon. It takes the same amount of time to reprice them. So like, it doesn't matter. Like if a book's worth $100, it doesn't take any more effort to price that up than a $1 book. So out of the 40% of books that one seller had, it still took as much effort as the 60% that were bringing in much more profit. So I guess my point is, when you go to thrift stores, especially in a situation where capital is an issue, even if you have, I don't know how much money you have, $2,000, $8,000, whatever it is, if you're sourcing, 100 books a day, I mean, if you're really going hard, you could do that. That's $100 a day, sometimes more. So your capital is going to go away pretty fast, which is, it's about to lead to my next point about getting free books. But I think there's a lot of value in cherry picking, but instead of leaving the thrift store or library, wherever you go, with a bunch of books, limit how many books you get. And even though it's going to not feel as good that when you don't have as many books, like realistically, according to this 80-20 rule, you're only going to be losing on 20% of profits, if that makes sense. And it's true. Like when you list books, pay attention. Like it's the heavy hitters that really bring up that value. I mean, I know bulk guys that disagree with me on this, but I just think for cherry picking guys like us, guys that are traveling, it's going to free up your time too. Because at some point you're going to have to stop sourcing and start listing. And that's going to take up a whole afternoon. What if you could source 2 extra days because you don't have your car filled with books? That's really going to benefit you. So it's easier said than done. I still struggle with it. It's hard to put a dollar profit book back on the shelf sometimes, but just set your triggers right with ScoutIQ. ScoutIQ is the app I use. It's my app of choice. They're always rolling out good shit. Scoutly is also a good app too. I've had some problems with them, so I don't use them anymore. Plus, Caleb Roth, he's a great guy. He's a creative ScoutIQ, smart guy, still in the game. He's a bookseller, knows what the fuck he's doing. Okay, so this is something I really wish I would have sat down and told myself is get free books. Okay. And I have a whole YouTube video. It's an hour long with this guy that's a master at it. And I've recently got a lot of DMs from people on Instagram who have implemented these techniques from this video. And they're pulling like crazy free books. Like it's crazy. Like the messages I get, like, oh, I just got like 1,000 free books and 200 of them are good. I'm like, dude, where are you? Like, tell me. So Matt Adolph dropped a lot of knowledge on getting free books. And I think even if you're paying for books, there's lots of potential with Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, OfferUp, but especially those first two. I really think, and this is something I do plan on doing when I travel in the future. I've actually done it. We had a Turn the Page event, which is where all the booksellers meet up. Caleb Roth, Reezy, Rakin was supposed to come, but he didn't make it this last time. We all meet up and we just share ideas and we all speak a little bit and just network. And the next one's in Atlanta in October. So if you guys are watching this and want to go to that event, either comment below or message me. But it's an awesome time to network. But anyway, before I went to Chicago, I put an ad on Craigslist for books. I wanted books. And I got like 500 fiction books that were like $5 profit each. Christian fiction is no joke. And I'm going to start implementing this technique more in the future. And you can pull free books by framing yourself as a declutter company, which if you're going to be living in your car, you got to be careful because you don't want to. We do have the luxury of FBA, so you can ship books out. But I mean, if you're going to go to sleep in your car that night, you got to have space in your car to sleep. So you can't just go get a whole gaylord of books and put it in your car and expect to process them by nightfall. So I think sticking with the cherry picking model, even like offering to find homes for books, just like people like look for on Craigslist for people giving away books for free, first of all, then put ads out there like, hey, I'll come pick up your books. And I mean, if you wake up early enough in the morning, this is how I would approach it. I'd fill the whole car up with all their free books, go to Goodwill, and as you're donating them in the bin, scan them and put the good ones aside. So I think using Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace, that's going to be golden for traveling. It's even like pulling textbooks from students. And this is what I'm leaning more towards doing this. And it takes a certain level of trust, and it would really help to have a brand revolving around this, but selling textbooks for students. So actually going, meeting them, grabbing their textbooks and being like, yo, I'm going to sell this for you. I'm going to pay you when it sells. Give me your Venmo or PayPal. I do this for, you guys know I do this for resellers. I sell people who are restricted in textbooks. I'll sell their textbooks for them and then pay them once a month for the books that sold. We can do the same thing with students. You just have to make them trust you, and then you're not spending any capital up front. So if you're about to go to a college, especially if it's August or December at the beginning or end of the semester, you can put an ad that says either cash for books if you're willing to spend the capital, or I will sell your books on Amazon for you. Something along the lines of I want textbooks, and just see how many responses you get. And you'd be surprised if you go on Facebook Marketplace, especially, there's lots of kids out there that are just basically trying to get rid of their books. Put an offer out there, and a lot of times they've been trying to get rid of them for a while. So you can actually, if you propose that you'll sell them for them, and especially if you have like a credible website or even like a Facebook page, or just like if your profile on Facebook looks professional, they'll probably trust you. So I would implement those techniques, and I'm going to get into mapping out routes in a second, but I also just want to say, beans and rice, I'm out here in Tennessee. I don't know if you guys know who Dave Ramsey is. I'm not a huge fan. I like the guy. Like, I think he's a good guy, but as far as his ideas towards money, I don't know if I agree with every single thing he says, but he's always talking about beans and rice, which I agree with this. Minimize expenses. And so when you're living on the road, minimize expenses by, not eating out every single day. Even McDonald's and Chipotle, like these places, if you're healthy, Chipotle, if you're not, McDonald's, whatever, these places add up. When you look at that credit card statement at the end of the month, you're like, how the hell did I spend, $1,000 on food or whatever in just a couple weeks? And those fast food places, they'll get you $10 a meal. If you're fat like me, I eat 3 meals a day. So when you're on the road, have a way to maybe make meals ahead of time. Fruit's good. It's just kind of jank, but I used to wake up early enough to go to hotels, and I just walk in the lobby and I'd just start conversation. It's a great way to find out what's going on. Like when I was at the Grand Canyon, I went to Holiday Inn Express, walked in, just was talking to the workers. I was like, where should I go around here? Like where are the best places to go? And I've gotten probably 50 plus free breakfasts from Holiday Inn Expresses. I just gave it away. Please don't sue me, Holiday Inn Express. Best Westerns are good too. So you can get free breakfast there, but really minimizing expenses, because that's $10 extra you're going to have for inventory. So, and I'm sure there's more creative ways to get free inventory too that I haven't even thought about. And I will add real quick, I do have a couple of videos on this as well, but try to get backroom access. So when you go to these thrift stores, ask to go to the back room. So get all the books that no one else has scanned yet. So I'm going to get into this. I made a video about this earlier, and then for some reason it didn't upload correctly, and everyone was asking, where did this go? So here it is. It's how to map out your route, and it's pretty simple. What you want to do, I didn't mean to do that. There we go. So you want to click on these 2 links here that I provided. And these are both 100% free. So this first one's a wealth map right here, okay? So the purple areas are the wealthy areas, and when we're this far out, it really doesn't mean much. So you want to zoom in to where you're at. So let's go to Chicago. I'd be scared to live in my car in Chicago, honestly. I've heard it's like a mass shooting there every weekend. This is also good for, on that note, where to sleep in your car. So if you're looking for places to sleep, and I have a whole video on that where I slept, blah, 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 but you definitely want to stay away from the poor areas when you're sleeping in your car because those are the dangerous areas. And when it comes to sourcing books, you want to go to the purple areas. So if you're looking at this map, if you're listening to this, open up your phone and look real quick. You want to go to these dark purple areas. So this west side of town right here, that's probably a little gold mine. So now what you're going to do is open up my maps, get started. Make sure you log in. Okay. So we're going to focus on that west side of town because that's where the wealth is at. So Wheaton, Naperville, somewhere around this area. Let's see if we can get an actual city. And I'm not as Mac savvy as I was Windows. With Windows, I was really good. Looks like it's more Elmwood Park, Melrose Park. I was really good at like making split screen action. But with this, it's always hard to like get them even. How the hell do you get them even? Okay, there's one. So you want to put these side by side. I mean, we know where the wealth is. We can see it right here. Melrose Park. Okay. So now you're going to type in thrift stores. Melrose Park. There we go. Okay. So I'm just going to make this full screen. So what we're going to do is we're going to focus on this area. And me and my buddy Andrew Gong went on a whole East Coast trip where we'd map out like 20 in a day, which I recommend you do map out 20, but I don't think I've ever hit 20 thrift stores in a day because what we realize is the better days for thrifting are the days where you hit up the least amount of thrift stores, because when you hit up a really good source, it's going to take some time to go through all the books. So, but you do want to have options, and you don't want to waste your time because time is so valuable. You don't want to sit in the parking lot mapping out where you're going to go next. You want to have all that ready. So it looks like this is a Savers right here. Debbie's Damn Good Deals. I don't know what this is, so what you're going to do is click on View on Google Maps and try to look at pictures and see if they have books inside. So I'm not too sure yet. I might put it on the map and just change the color because I don't know what's going on here. So add to map, and then what you can do is hit this little paint button, and let's make it some weird color, like yellow. There we go. Okay, so blue is the one we know for sure is good. Yellow, we're going to have to call those places tomorrow when they open up. Twice again, like I don't know what these places are. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but Salvation Army, that's a good one. Boom. And something else that we do for the stores, you want to look at the hours, right? Because the problem you're going to run into if you're sourcing all day long, which I recommend you do that. I don't recommend you like try to make a fun day in Chicago. If you're going to have a fun day in Chicago, spend all day having fun. Don't be like, oh, I'm going to hit 3 thrift stores and then go there. And like, make a sourcing day and make a vacation day. You're going to be much more productive by batching those things together. Okay. So opens at 9 a.m., closes 9. So what we'll do here, it automatically turns blue. Blue's the default. So we're going to edit this. And this is, I like to just put 9 right there, or 9 at the beginning. Boom. 9 and 9. That way I'm not stuck in a position where I'm like, at the very end of the day, I'm like, oh no, what stores are going to close? And then also when you map this out, sometimes a lot of stores will close at 5. And so you want to, even if you have to go out of your way to go to the 5 o'clock stores first, you want to, because you have 4 extra hours to go to the Salvation Army, so hit that last. So you're literally going to do this for like 15, 20 places. So let's pretend that we already looked at that and it's good. We looked at that. And then sometimes you'll get used to the hours. Like maybe all Goodwills have the same hour. Here's a Goodwill. So these are all the thrift stores we got mapped out. Now you're going to do the same thing with the libraries. Zoom out here. That's frustrating. It's only showing 1. So what we'll do here is add to map. I like to make them like this maroon color, whatever color that is right there. And then I'll type in library, see what happens. Now it's showing a broader range. And if this is a case, I would try to stay away from the city. And if you are going to go to the city, just, I mean, like Chicago's a big city, but try to plan it so you don't hit rush hour there. So add that, change it to purple, add this, change it to purple. And I've noticed that up north, most libraries do have books for sale out front. In the south, not so much, especially like in New England, they have a bunch of books for sale. But it's always worth calling and finding out for sure so you don't waste your time. And so this isn't that many that I've mapped out yet, but you can map out a lot more. And you could even type in like used bookstores. These are also good to hit up. And so we'd map all these. So I might make that, let's see, I might make that orange. So now all the used bookstores are orange on here. Okay. It's going to drive me crazy if they're different color oranges. There we go. Okay, so now what you're going to do, let's pretend this is like 15, and this is probably good for a day right here if you hit up a couple good sources, but if all these sources are ass, you could blaze through them. So wherever you slept the night before in your vehicle, and also, side note, all these green places right here, really good to sleep most of the time. So you actually want to look at the wealth map. Make sure you're not going to the hood and then these green areas. As long as they're not like state parks or something, most of the time they're just parks. You want to stay away from anywhere with security. There's also campsites.net, I believe. And there's actually people that like travel around doing this shit, living in their cars, living in their RVs, and they'll rate campsites. And the campsite might be a parking lot near the Great Lake right here. So, and they'll give it like 4 stars, 5 stars, 1 star, 1 star if like the security guard kicked you out. So yeah, what I would do is wherever you slept, let's say you slept here. I mean, if you sleep in your car, it doesn't matter. But when me and Andrew were doing this on the East Coast, like let's say your Airbnb or hotels here, you want to start, the traffic's going to be thickest towards the city. So start there and work your way out. Be cognizant of when rush hour is going to hit. Just be smart. You know, like if you know rush hour is going to hit, like don't be here trying to go to here, you know, because then you're going to be pissed off. It's probably going to take an hour. So Let's see what else I got here on this list. I like to use ScoutIQ, and then the bare essentials. All you need is a scanner, tape gun, and scale. And some people will say you don't even need a scanner, which is kind of true, but you're going to make your money back on your scanner the first day because you're going to be able to scan 10 times as many books. And when you scan books, don't pull them all the way up the shelf. Just pull them far enough to scan the barcode and go like that. And the Nadamu Mini is going to pay for itself in one day. I promise you that. And if you ever lose it or if it ever breaks, you can type in Amazon Locker since you're going to be living in your car on the road. Boom. You can get it shipped to any place here. Prime shipping. It'll be there in 2 days. Let's say you're bouncing to Nashville. It's about a 7-hour drive. Type it in there. Boom. Get it shipped to Amazon Locker Green Hills. Green Hills is a very wealthy place. Lots of books there. Probably do some pretty good pickups. And then pick up your Nadamu Mini. So tape gun, you're going to want that just because it's not like I've actually taped so many times using like Staples tape gun or FedEx or whatever. We can't use FedEx with Amazon anymore starting today. It's 2 o'clock here in Nashville. It's the 8th. So starting today, we can't use FedEx anymore. So UPS, you'll save a lot of time having your own tape gun. But you can get free tape going in there. So if you're like super broke and you really want to save as much money as possible, you can use their tape gun. I've been there. I'm not ashamed. And a scale. And this same thing, you could use their scale in there, but then you're in the situation where you have to open up your phone and add the weight in, which is going to take an extra 10 minutes. I'm just impatient. So I like to have all that done before. So when I go in there, boom, everything's ready to go. I actually pay for them to print labels, for shipping labels for the boxes a lot of times, but I also do have a Dymo that I use. That's weird how it's doing that. Oh shit. Yeah, I have a Dymo that I use now. So both my 4XLs are broken, but hotel lobbies are good to print paper into if you just want to. But I mean, if you're going to go to FedEx anyway, you might as well just print it there. So that's what I got. Those are the tips I would have, and appreciate your question, man. You inspired this video. This is probably my favorite topic. So like, comment, subscribe, dislike, do what you got to do, guys. Really, really appreciate you guys watching this whole vid. If you guys got questions, comments, future video request, comment below. Peace out, guys.